Hey guys, welcome to the channel today. My name is Adam. I'm here with the Overswing Golf. And today we're going to do a review that a lot of people have been requesting in the comment section. So I wanted to bring this today to you. Three of the most popular players distance irons that are out on the market. Now, we've got the Callaway Apex AI 200. We've got the Titleist T-Series T250. And the king of the players distance irons, the TaylorMade P790. Now, Apex and the P790 have been out for a number of years, a couple of different iterations, 3rd and 4th generations. Callaway's gone all in with the AI. TaylorMade's made these subtle tweaks over the years to try to make these irons a little bit more forgiving. This year, they've gone back to a little more clean look, closer to what the original looks like. And then you got the new guy, the Titleist T-Series. Now, this is the 4th generation of these irons, going back to a couple of years ago. Now, Titleist has made a significant jump in the looks, the performance, the feel, the sound this year to really compete against these irons. New to the channel, hit that like button, subscribe. We're going to try to push out more content in these next few months with these new irons. And anything you guys want to see, leave a comment and let us know what you want to see, what you want me to test here in the home sim. So we're going to keep going here and we will see who truly is the king of the players distance irons. Hey guys, so we are going to start out first. We're going to hit some 7-irons, and I've got my gamer. So I play the Ping Blueprint S steel shafts, stiff flex. I do have these at power spec, so they are at least a little closer to these guys in terms of loft. Still a little bit weaker than all three of these, but I'll use this as my baseline, kind of get some swings in with this one. We'll try to hit about 5 shots with each club, and then we'll go in and we'll look at the data kind of towards the end of each one. And then look at the overall numbers with these guys. We'll talk about a couple different things: the look, the sound, the feel of these clubs, and we want to see, really who is the true king of the players distance irons. Now, I know that there's other irons that are out there, and we'll test those. Maybe we'll even do a little bracket challenge here. We'll see which one out of these three kind of wins, and we'll test some other ones. If there's other irons you want to see in these tests as well, leave a comment, and we'll see which one you guys want to do, and we'll do that when we'll bring it in here, and we'll do a challenge as well. We'll talk about 5 different things. We're going to look at the look, the feel, the sound, and of course the numbers, which are the most important thing probably to you guys in this test comparison. So we'll look at these. We'll talk about all the specs with each club after we hit them. We're going to start out with mine. We'll hit about 5 shots with each club, and then we'll see how they do. Now today we are hitting on the Square Golf launch monitor. We are also using Awesome Golf as our test center because we can really get all the data in a nice spreadsheet with this system. I've been using the Square for a while. I am hitting the TaylorMade TP5 Pix golf balls. So those will be our ball of choice here that we're testing, which is my gamer ball, and we'll see how we do here. Now, there are things that we look at with these irons, and we'll talk more about them as we look at the numbers. Ball speed, obviously very important. Launch angle, spin rates, all very important in your irons. Also, dispersion. And we're not just talking about dispersion in terms of left and right, but also front to back. How consistent these irons are on good hits, miss hits, how we do. Now, granted, these are my fitted clubs, so for me, it's a good tester. Kind of see how the other ones compare. Let's get one more here. These are 5 pretty well struck shots. All pretty straight little draws with those, which is my typical ball flight. All right, so we're gonna look at the numbers at the end after we do the comparison. We'll see how each one kind of compares, and we'll look at all of the data, really dive into it, and we'll see how they compare to my gamer and how all 3 of those clubs compare to each other. Okay, guys, so up next we're going to test is the Callaway Apex AI 200. Now, Callaway has a whole line of Apex irons going all the way from the Apex, really the TCB, which is the Tour cavity back. You see some guys on Tour using that one. They have an MB, which is the straight blade, the CB, which is a slight cavity back, Then you jump into the Apex Pro, which starts getting more into that hollow body design. And then you jump into the more forgiving irons after the Apex Pro. You got the 100 series, the 200 series, and then the 300 series. And on top of that, they even have a Tie Fusion model, which is more into that super game improvement iron, which even stronger lofts, thinner faces. But today, we're going to test the one that's kind of in the middle. This is the Callaway Apex AI 200. Now, forged, as all three of these clubs say, they're forged. Now, they're forged in I use that as a loose term. So the entire body of this golf club is not forged. You get a forged hosel, a forged back. They mill out. There is a weight pocket back here that they can adjust for swing weighting. The faces are generally welded on to these irons. They do their microsphere stuff inside, which is basically their gel stuff to dampen the sound, the feel, because the faces are kind of thin. You don't want that clicky sound at impact. They've also tried to thin the top line just a little bit so that it's not jumping into the super game improvement irons. These have a in-between look as you're putting down. They're a little bit more offset than the 100 series, less than the 3, and definitely less than the Pro model. Stock shafts in these guys are going to be the dynamic gold mid-series shafts. They've got a couple different weight options, and this is where fitting is super important because of all the different weight choices. I'm trying to keep these relatively similar to what I play. I play 120 gram steel shafts. This is a 115, so yes, it's a little bit lighter. I'm expecting all three of these clubs to go a little bit longer than my existing club. The main thing that's going to be interesting is to see what the launch angle, spin rates, and descent angle with the three of these are. Again, mine being a little bit on the power spec side. There's a range that we'll talk about that is ideal with these numbers, see what's right, what my gamer's doing versus these, see if there's any better, any worse for my play. And then we can talk about how these might improve your game. So we're going to start out again. We're going to start with the Apex AI 200. We're going to hit 5 shots again here on the Square Golf launch monitor using the TaylorMade TP5 Pix ball. We'll see how this works, and we'll look at the numbers at the end. Now, first thing I'll say is we'll talk about some of the looks of the golf club. Now, when you set it down, it's got a tiny bit more offset than my gamer irons, but it's not offsetting. So it's not offsetting. It doesn't, I should say, it's not off-putting. So when we look down at it, it still looks clean. It frames the ball quite nice behind there. Top line is a nice mid-top line. Very similar. Actually, really all three of these look pretty similar when you set them down. But there is a tiny bit more offset with this club. Now, the satin finish, not super high gloss. It looks really nice, really premium behind the golf ball. We'll see how the sound is, the feel is with these clubs as well. All right, so we're going to hit 5 shots here with the Callaway Apex AI 200. A little thin, not my best strike. Better one. Felt big hook, yeah. Not my best swing. Now, a lot of this too, again, my other ones are fitted. The shafts, the head weights, the grips, all those things are really dialed in for my swing. So I'm expecting to maybe hit these a little further. I don't know about more accuracy, but we're testing them apples to apples as close as we can. Pretty solid. A little overcorrection from the last one, but still, it's coming back to center. All right, let's hit one more here. And that was probably the best strike out of those 5. I'm curious to see what that one does on the numbers at the end. All right, we're going to throw one more in there just because we had one that was pretty poorly hit. I want to give every club a fair shot here. Again, some of that's kind of getting used to the club, the feel. A little more draw. It definitely sounds powerful though. Now and that's the thing. These hollow bodies, they've all done really good jobs tuning the heads, getting that sound to sound really solid at impact. So we'll see. We'll look at the numbers at the end and see how it compares to my gamer and how it compares to the other two. All right, guys. So next up is the TaylorMade P790. Now, TaylorMade, like Callaway, they have had this line of irons out now for a couple of different generations. And the original 790 was a huge success for TaylorMade. The looks, the sound, the feel for that golf club were really, really what started, I think, the player's distance category. Looks like a blade, has some of the forgiveness inside. And over the years, they had subtly gotten the heads maybe a little bit bigger, really hit and try to push that forgiveness envelope a little bit. The prior generation, probably the biggest, I would say the least pleasing to look at. So when they came out with the 770s this year, and then they jumped to 790s, now they went back to kind of the roots. This iron still has a lot of forgiveness in it, like the prior gen, but now with some updated looks, some different weighting on the inside. They have the speed foam air, other things. Still continue to have that speed pocket on the bottom to help with those thin shots. So this is really the one that kind of, I'd say, started it all many years ago. It's always maintained that nice traditional look when you set it down behind a golf ball. The iron itself is quite pleasing when you set it down. The blade length from front to back is still pretty nice. The top line over the years had gotten a little thick. This one really kind of harkens back to the prior gen of I should say the first generation iron. When you set it down next to the Callaway, one we just hit, and you can see who Callaway's going after. And we'll put a side by side here so you guys can see them. But the top line on the Callaway's maybe just a tiny bit thicker. TaylorMade with the more subtle satin finish on the actual club itself, on the face of the club a little bit. When you set it down in the light, again, they will both look pretty similar in terms of some of the design, who they're going after. You can tell these clubs are really targeting a certain segment of the population who want a little bit of maybe some forgiveness, but still want a club that is kind of workable. You can shape shots maybe a little bit with these guys. I always said these were kind of designed for maybe your 5 to 15 handicap, depending on where you sit on that. You can combo these quite easily with the Apex. You can go for the 100 series, the 200 series, the 790s. You can do the 770s as well to make a combo set. So they do pair up quite nice with their siblings in that line, so you can really get the set that's kind of appropriate for your game with that. So again, we're going to hit 5 shots here on Awesome Golf using the TaylorMade TP5 Pix golf ball. Shaft on this one is also the stock. This is also a KBS stiff. This is the Tour Light, so it's a little bit lighter than my gamer shaft. Now, this shaft is kind of designed to be more mid-launch, pretty similar to what is in the Apex with the Diamond Gold mid. I think this might actually kick the ball up a little bit higher than that shaft, but we will see what the numbers look like. Loft-wise, not crazy strong. I mean, these are I believe a 30-degree 7-iron. I think that's pretty close to where most of these set. When you get into the more game improvement irons, so like the QIs for TaylorMade, maybe the 300 series for both Titleist and Callaway, those lofts get a little stronger, but they also get a little bit bigger and a lower center of gravity. So this is supposed to be that kind of that tweener, that mid guy, trying to fit a lot of different players. So let's hit 5 shots here, see how this guy hits, see how it sounds. Let's give it a rip. I'd say the first one felt really good. Picked it quite nice. It felt powerful off the face. Many years ago when I was fitting, when these irons were first coming out, I had a customer of mine said it felt like the ball was sticking to the face of the club, if that makes sense. So at impact, it feels like you're actually feeling it spring as that ball jumps off. And that one actually felt more like that in that category. So again, we'll hit a couple more here. little more draw, but still pretty solid. That first one felt really good. Maybe a little bit off the toe. All right, let's get one more here. Again, we want to give all these a fair shake while we're hitting them. That one was absolutely hammered. I know it's drawn, but man, that felt really solid. All right. So that is the TaylorMade P790. Now, just my initial impressions between that and the Apex. Haven't looked at the numbers at all. We're going to do that at the end. It felt like the TaylorMade, albeit for that one swing, was going further. Again, we'll knock out that one miss hit. But that felt like it just felt more explosive off the face. We'll see. We'll look at the numbers at the end. All right, guys. So the last one that we're going to test is the brand new Titleist T250. Now, Titleist has done a complete remake of this iron for 2025, 2026. Now, this iron is, again, like these other ones, kind of that forged face, hollow body design. They've got a new, very unique hosel system for their fitting components. So you got all these different lofts and lies that you can do independent of one another. They are also doing a swing weight system, which is quite cool. So you can really get these dialed in. A lot of shaft options with these guys. So probably one of the most customizable irons as far as in your fitting process that you can actually get these dialed in. Not to say that the other ones you can't. You can still do the lie angle. You can still do the loft. On these other guys, you still choose shafts, but having the ability to kind of do the loft and lie independent and be able to test swing weight with the shaft that you're actually testing and getting fitting with is a huge advantage in that market. Plus, they've also, with this new design, they've got rid of the backing. You see a lot of irons that have some type of badging on the back of the golf club to kind of dampen sound, swing weighting. They've gone away from that completely. They were having some production issues getting that to stay on, some other stuff. With this new iron, it is really slick, really sleek design. You can kind of see this guy. We'll show you. Super, super clean. So it's Titleist in the back, the T250. Just not a lot going on. Now, your fitted club will not have the screw in the back per se. It's just going to look like a straight blade. Super, super sleek design. Not as much offset when we look down at this guy, I think, compared to the other two clubs. Definitely a little thinner top line. Because Titleist has 4 irons in this T series. You have the 100, the 150, and the 350. You can really customize these to really what you want. If you want super forgiving long irons and you want to do the 350 for your 4 and 5, and then a 250 for your 6 and 7, and then a 150, 8, 9 pitch, you can do that. And you can blend these any way you want to. There's loft choices. You can kind of dial these up and down as well. So you can test all of these different choices. So super cool with that design. So we're going to do the same thing with this guy. You know, when you're looking down at it, we're going to hit some balls here. Again, that top line is really clean. Just a tiny bit more offset, I think, than the 150s. But if you set that iron down right next to the 250, depending on what iron you look at, you could say it's almost the same golf club, just a tiny bit more offset in that 250 hit. Shaft-wise, we're using the AMT Black, so more comparable to my Gamer. Still in that 115 to 120 shaft range, similar to the other guys. So we're trying to hit pretty comparable shafts with these 3 clubs. So let's test this guy out. Let's see what the numbers look like, and we'll go from there. All right, so 5 swings again with this guy. See how the numbers look at the end. Give this guy a go. Maybe a little bit more muted on the sound. Not bad, just a different sound. The TaylorMade sounds a little bit more high-pitched. A little bit louder. Felt like a little pool. It felt like it had a little bit more speed to it than that first shot. First shot was pretty straight, just didn't feel as explosive as the TaylorMade. That one was definitely a higher ball flight. And that's the one thing Titleist is really saying this year. They've really got the CG really low in this club. So you still get distance, but you'll get stopping power. So we'll see. That was really the first one that looked like it went higher. bad, still pretty decent. I'm back a little bit. Again, that wasn't a perfect strike, but still had good height. So the very first one was interesting. Felt decent, didn't feel like it was exploding. And then the last couple ones that I hit definitely had a little higher pitch. Having the mic there, maybe we'll be able to tell and see what it sounds like compared to the other ones. But interesting. I think look-wise, this is probably the closest to my gamer in terms of that thinner top line. Again, I play the Blueprint S. I'll show you all these clubs kind of sitting side by side so you can kind of get your own opinion, see which one you like. But let's dive into some of these numbers here. We'll check them out and see what really was the king of the players' distance irons. Okay, so here is the comparison that a lot of you guys are looking for as well. So you've got the Callaway Apex AI 200 and the TaylorMade P790. Again, the TaylorMade, higher ball speed, 115, Callaway, 113.5. But the Callaway actually carried a yard further. The difference here, higher launch angle, slightly lower peak height, but much lower spin. Now, that basically equates to a flatter ball flight, but a little bit more consistent on that front to back, left to right. So, I mean, it's a yard difference, not even hardly between the two, but you know that little bit higher launch, just get the ball in the air just a little longer. But that land angle, again, neither one of these, if you get on a hard green, you're not stopping. That spin rate's very, very low. That off club, 45.87. Definitely would want a different shaft. Again, if I was fitting myself with these guys, try to get that launch angle up a little bit more. I'd probably get a little more carry out of it too, a little more stopping power. So looking at these two, if you're playing on firm greens or if you're a low ball hitter, may not be the ideal setup for you. But we'll check out the other ones here and we'll compare the Titleist to these guys and see how they look. All right, so we're going to look at the two that I think I probably hit the best. I'd say the TaylorMade P790 and the Titleist T250. Now, the ball speeds were almost a wash, 115.4 versus 116.1. So we'll say a half a mile an hour, basically almost the same. But a slight difference in carry, so 2 yards. Again, not a huge difference. It can change from day to day. So the thing that I noticed most of all with the Titleist versus really the other three clubs was the vertical launch angle. This thing launched, in this case, 3 degrees higher than the TaylorMade. Also had a higher peak height than the TaylorMade, and also a much better length. You look at these numbers, 19.4, 96.5 feet in the air versus 80. And then that magical number of about 45 degrees on the land angle. That's a really nice, solid number. Easy to get that ball to stop. A little bit more spin, 600 RPMs. I mean, that could change a little bit with a golf ball. But I think with what we're looking at here, these were pretty comparable irons, but much different ball flights. The other thing that I noticed with the Titleist was the consistency on the deltas. The front to back, the left to right spur. Did it good, did it bad. It didn't really move a whole lot. Very stable iron. And that was one of the things that I know Titleist was talking about this year was, you're not going to get that jumper. You're not going to get that one that goes 15 yards longer than, your normal strikes. So you can kind of bank on this club going, in this case, 165 yards pretty much every time you hit it. So it was really solid in that regards. The TaylorMade, yeah, when you hit it solid, man, that thing absolutely jumped. But what scares me a little bit is, if I'm playing this club for 170 yards, then I hit 185. Now I'm over the green, or I'm putting myself in places where I don't want to be. So I really thought that the Titleist did a really solid job all the way around of just making that, very consistent with that overall ball flight, how tight that grouping was. We got that dialed in a little bit more with shaft and lie angle. That would be, if I picked up a little bit more distance on it, that wouldn't be a bad thing. Versus my gamer, yeah, all three of these clubs were stronger, lofted, and also a little further, but not 3 clubs longer. Half club on the average. So I think, clear winner in this grouping. I still think the Titleist was probably the best overall. Again, not the longest, but probably the most consistent. I like the ball speeds. I like the launch. I like the spin. I think these numbers were all really solid all the way through. I like the spin rate. So, gives you the best opportunity. Now, for
most players, I'm going to say you got to get fit. You'll hear me say that a lot in these videos: is get fit, find the right club, get the right shaft dialed in, and then depending on your ball flight, your numbers may vary. So these are just for me, being looking at averages and looking at what numbers jump out at me. I think the Titleist was a clear winner. Had the best grouping, best overall launch, high spin rates. Yeah, it wasn't the longest, but it doesn't always have to be. And plus or minus 2 yards, it's basically a wash. I think the Titleist did a really, really good job.
All right, guys. So pretty interesting findings with those three golf clubs. Between the TaylorMade P790, the Callaway Apex AI 200, and the brand new Titleist T250. Now, I think all three of those irons are right for a particular type of player. These are my independent testings. This is my review. So take it for what you will. I'd say out of the three for me, I think the Titleist would be better for my swing. Again, I tend to be, I'm looking for height. I'm looking for land angle. A little extra distance doesn't hurt. But you can see my fitted irons. I like the numbers that I get. Yeah, they're a little bit shorter, but they're super consistent. I get a nice tight ball flight with those. So that's kind of what I'm looking for, is something that I know can go the same distance every time I hit it. I can work it and do what I want to. These three are awesome. They all have a great feel. Get fitted. That's going to be the number one thing, as you can tell from all three of these numbers that we looked at, these three clubs. If you need a little bit more distance, maybe lean on the TaylorMade a little bit more. The Callaway was pretty solid as well. Dispersion was pretty nice. Had some nice ball speed, with just a little bit on the flatter side for me. So not ideal, but if you're that type of player, if you're a really high ball hitter, you need that extra maybe a little lower flight to get you a little bit extra carry. That might be a good one to look at. If you're a lower ball hitter and you need more height to get the ball to land a little softer, then lean towards the Titleist. The main thing that I always say with these guys is get fit. Go see your local club fitter, whether it be a PGA Superstore or any other place that you guys like. Go there, test them out, figure out what you like the look of, the feel of, the sound. Make sure you get fit for these guys. That's the number one thing you will always hear from me, is get fit for the right clubs, get fit for the right shaft, get them dialed in with that. So in conclusion, guys, hope you like this. We're going to continue to do more of this as we get into the fall months and the winter. We'll test some more irons. There are a few new things coming out. Hopefully we can test some more clubs. What do you guys want to see? You want to see more irons? You want to see some of the new wedges that are coming out? We can do putter stuff as well. So leave a comment down below. Again, if you haven't, hit that like button, subscribe, hit the little bell icon so you get notified when I do upload new content. I actually do get out and play once in a while, so I do post there as well, some on-course play. So check it out. I appreciate you guys tuning in this afternoon, and we will see you soon.